I thought my boyfriend was a struggling musician until I needed emergency surgery beat out. I fell for his talent, his kindness, and his work ethic. He taught music at an after-school program in a low-hide neighborhood and performed wherever he could get gigs. On our dates, we'd split $2 heroin and free museum nights, trading stories about growing up in families where money was always tight. For our one-year anniversary, I saved for months to buy him a new guitar strap. He seemed almost embarrassed by the gift, insisting his taped-up one-head character. 6 months later, I woke up with excruciating abdominal pain. Ethan rushed me to the emergency room where they diagnosed a ruptured appendix, requiring immediate surgery. As they prepped me, I was panicking paired, not just about the surgery, but about the cost. I had basic insurance with a $5,000 deductible I couldn't afford. Don't worry about any of that, Ethan said, squeezing my hand. Just focus on getting better. Half delirious from pain medication, I remember mumbling, "We can't afford this," before being wheeled into surgery. When I woke up, I was in a private room that looked more like a hotel suite than a hospital room. A doctor I hadn't met before was checking my charts. "Miss Rivera, your surgery went perfectly, doctor. Chen is the best surgeon we have. There must be some mistake," I said groggily. "I can't afford a private room or the best surgeon." The doctor looked confused. "Here is no mistake. Mr. Sullivan arranged everything." I must have looked blank because the doctor continued, "The hospital's owner." When Ethan arrived with flowers, I thought the doctor had made a mistake. But the way the staff treated him, parenter, with a mixture of respect and familiarity that went beyond normal patient interactions, parenter, made me realize something was different. "You own this hospital?" I asked when we were alone. He sat beside my bed looking more uncomfortable than I'd ever seen him. "Hish, my family does. I sit on the board." It turned out Ethan Sullivan was actually Ethan Sullivan III, whose family owned not just this hospital, but a network of medical centers across 3 states. The Sullivan Medical Group was one of the largest healthcare providers in the region. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, feeling like I was in some bizarre dream. "Because when I tell people, everything changes," he said quietly. "Before I started using just my first name and keeping things private, every relationship I had was about my family's money. People either wanted something from me or treated me differently." He explained that after finishing his business degree, he made a deal with his family. He would eventually take his place in the company if they gave him 5 years to live on his own terms first. He really did teach music and perform, parent. That wasn't a lie. He just didn't need the income, the apartment, the car, the calculating tips. Was it all an act? I felt disoriented, questioning everything. "No," he said firmly. "I live on what I make teaching and performing. The apartment and car are mine. I calculate tips because money should be respected, no matter how much you have." He took my hand. "The only thing I've hidden is my last name and family business. Everything else, parent, who I am, what I care about, how I feel about you, Turt, that's all real." I needed time to process everything. It wasn't just about the money, but about feeling like I'd been dating someone under false pretenses. As I recovered, Ethan brought my favorite books and took time off from both his teaching and his board responsibilities to help me at home. One evening, as he was making soup in my kitchen, I asked the question that had been bothering me. "Why keep living like you are struggling when you don't have to?" He was quiet for a moment. "My family has always had money, but we haven't always been happy. I wanted to know I could build something meaningful on my own, and I wanted to find someone who loved me for reasons that had nothing to do with a bank account." 6 months later, Ethan took me to meet his family at their estate. Before we went in, he stopped me by a fountain in their garden. "I've been living in 2 worlds," he said, "and I don't want to anymore." He got down on one knee, but instead of a ring, he held out 2 keys. "One is to a new apartment, parente, bigger but still in our neighborhood. The other is to a community music center I am establishing in the area where I teach. I want to build a life that combines both parts of who I am, but only if you are beside me." I said yes to both keys. We still eat $2 higher sometimes, but now we also fund scholarships for kids who can't afford medical school, and Ethan still uses his duct-taped guitar strap for every performance. Parton, he says it reminds him of who he really is. If you want to know how my family reacted when they found out about Ethan's background, share this video.